Episode 260. You have to choose between me and her. How come? Charlie was the last person to see Jake. Why was Jake dead? And he still alive? Serena knew that she should not think that way, but the chance of surviving such a big explosion was very low. How did Charlie escape? She suddenly felt that she was cruel and vicious. She asked, "Where are you?" When Camilla heard this question, she was overjoyed and said, "Austin's first military hospital." After one night's rest, Serena's eyes looked much better. She put on a little light makeup so that her complexion looked healthy, and left to see Charlie. When arriving at the destination, she bought a fruit basket before she went to the hospital. They were in a luxury single-person ward. When she entered, she smelled medicine. Very pungent, heavier than any other smell in the hospital. Serena was caught off guard and felt a little nauseous, but soon she held it back. When Camilla saw her, her eyelids fluttered. She picked up the fruit, her eyes full of pity as she said softly, "You lost weight and you look pale." Camilla was the same. These days, she too had also lost a lot of weight. Was it because she was taking care of Charlie? Serena smiled slightly, but did not intend to pay attention to her, and her eyes fell on Charlie. He was covered in white bandages, almost wrapped into a mummy. Fortunately, there were no severe burns on his face, so it was still fine to look at. But his eyebrows and eyelashes had been burned off, so he did not look like himself. His pair of eagle eyes were still sharp. Maybe because he had just woken up, but he still looked a bit down. "You came." Serena nodded, and Camilla pointed her to a stool. "Sit down, please." Serena sat down and thanked her. Charlie looked at her belly and said, "The babies are fine." Serena subconsciously reached out and touched her belly, smiled and asked, "How did you escape? In that kind of fire and explosion? Didn't you go in and save him? What about him?" When Camilla heard Serena, she felt a little angry. Charlie did not speak, gazing at her with his sharp eyes. Serena felt that she was terrible, but she couldn't help but purse her lips and ask, "You said that you were going to bring him back to see me. Why did you lie to me, together with him? Was it for fun?" "I am very sorry." Charlie's voice was a bit dull and weak. "When I entered, he had been taken away." Serena stopped crying and looked at him incredulously. "What are you talking about?" "When I entered, the policeman who had been stranded there was killed. One shot in the middle of the eyebrows. Jake was not there." A fire was ignited in Serena's heart that had been desperate for a few days. She held her breath and looked at him nervously. "The policewoman and I followed them out to the back door, and she was behind me. But suddenly there was an explosion. We flew up together, and then I became unconscious." "What do you mean? He's not dead? He was saved?" Serena stood up excitedly and looked at him. Charlie nodded. "Yes, he was taken away. Alan had said he wanted Jake to help him with what he did. I think he should still be alive." When she heard this, she could not think for a long time. Her face was covered in tears and her brain was ringing. Words were echoing. "He is still alive. He is still alive. Is he really still alive?" After a long while, she smiled. "He is still alive. He's still alive. As long as he did not die inside of the building, then there is still hope of life. Alan still wanted him to do things, so he won't die, right? Next, as long as she finds Alan or Anna, she can find him, right? However, since they are doing this, they must want you to think that Jake is already dead. These people are full of schemes. It is better to play along with the results they want." What do you mean? Let the outside world know that Jake is dead. Let the enemy relax, and we will find him secretly. This way, our success rate may be accurate. When Serena heard Charlie's words, she gritted her teeth. Can I believe in you? He was dumbstruck and looked at her. Why do you ask? You are Anna's father. It is that gang she runs that made my husband end up like that. You have been her father for a long time. Do you really mean it when you say that you want to help me? Hearing Serena's words, Charlie's heart ached. Looking at Camilla, his feelings were very complicated. Although he knew the truth about Anna, she had been a daughter who he had raised for more than 20 years. Charlie had been loving this girl for better or for worse. However, after knowing Serena's presence, Charlie felt that he owed this child a lot. He might not be able to make it up to her in this lifetime. Both were his daughters, and it was no wonder that Serena had doubts. He smiled bitterly and said, "You are also my daughter, Serena." High heels clicked behind him as Camilla came over. She walked towards Serena and said sincerely, "I'm sorry." Wearing a long blue dress, Camilla looked elegant and tall. "I am sorry. I had always known your whereabouts and been tracking you, but I never told Charlie about it." Camilla was so calm that her apology did not feel very sincere to Serena. "Charlie did not know of your existence at all. If he knew, he would definitely have brought you back, and treated you twice as nicely as he did to Anna. It's all my bad. I'm truly sorry." As Serena heard this, she curled her lips, stood up, retrieved her bag from the stool, and said, "Mr. Wrong, I will consider what you have said. Thank you for telling me this." She then turned and left. "Serena." Charlie looked at her, his eyes sad. "I am your father." Serena paused, her eyes slightly dim. "You are also Anna's father, aren't you?" Charlie had no words. Looking at her back, he was devastated. "She's the daughter you've raised for more than 20 years. If you can only choose between me and her, you will definitely choose her, right?" Anna's gang had made her man suffer like that. Was she supposed to be her sister? Impossible.